Hi Sean, you okay?
Hi. Good, thanks.
How relieved are you, first of all, with the good news about Seamus Coleman, the injury not as bad as first feared?
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to keep him out. It's still a ligament injury that needs sorting out, but it's not. Obviously, everyone feared it was ACL, and it's not, so that's good news, and good news for him.
Do you think he'll be back this season?
I doubt it. I don't think so, no.
Right. You've talked before about making things happen and taking responsibility in matches. How much did you think it was a big step forward, that performance at Leicester, particularly with the 23 shots on goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a quality of performance that we want to build, and we've done somewhat in certain games, particularly when we first got here. The Arsenal game was a good sign of that. So it's in there. It's the consistency that I've been searching for, and I mentioned that in the media the last couple of weeks after a couple of performances when we stepped away from it, or pockets of performances actually, because I thought, I'll reference it again, I thought the Newcastle game, for a large part of that game, we played very well, but once he went away from us, then we never retrieved it, never got close to retrieving it. Whereas Leicester performance was a mixture of what we want: good energy, good detail, apart from the mistakes for the goals obviously, but I mean good detail in general, good attacking detail. And we looked a real threat constantly through the night, and I was very pleased with the team performance.
A lot of focus, of course, on Dominic Calvert-Lewin now that he's back. In his words, he's getting better and better. Are you seeing that too, and is that something that obviously we should expect given the lengthy layoff that he's had?
Well, you can't expect it. You never know. Players come back from injuries in different ways, but the goal was to get him to come back at a fitness level that could handle the Premier League, which he's shown he is doing. And I thought he put in a real good physical shift, but some of his quality. Found a goal, obviously, from the penalty spot, but his movement to get there, movement on another chance that went away from him, but I want him in there. Not bothered if they miss, that's part of the game, but it's getting in there. And he looked freer. Since I've been here, that's the freest I've seen him. It just in his physical presence and the way he was running. And that's a good sign, but he's been training very well as well, and it's been very frustrating for him, very frustrating for us.
It still remains obviously just the one away win all season. Does that result you got at Leicester change the mentality and the approach? Do you feel you've been asking for
we
that?
showed that at Forest. It was a mistake, cost us the win there. Good mentality to come back at Chelsea. Very good performance at Leicester. These are all signs that it's correcting itself, but we've got to continue. 4 to go, and we've got to make sure that we're taking every game with that kind of commitment to the cause, but not just the physical commitment, the detail in the performance. Some of the passing and movement was good. Some of the chances great. It was obviously you've mentioned already the amount of chances, but also the quality of chances, and I think that shows a strong sign of the team getting back to where we want it to be after a drop off.
Amadou Onana was a little bit under the weather, wasn't he, for the last game? Is he going to be okay for the week?
Yeah, he should be fine. He's trained the last couple of days, so he's recovered.
Any others on the list of?
Ben Godfrey's groin's still not right, so it'll take a bit of time. Seamus, as you know, but no, everyone else should be fit.
I know every game in the Premier League is really tough, Sean, but Brighton away has become one of the more tougher ones, I suppose. What have you made of Roberto De Zerbi?
Yeah, they've done very well. Yeah, the way they play and trying to take on games, and recruited very well, spent a lot of money, but in the right ways over the years. And they've become a good outfit without a shadow of a doubt. And I think their home form's been pretty strong. I think they've lost 4, drawn 3, but that aside, they've been strong performances. So, but everyone in the Premier League, it's. Like I said, when you're down looking up, everything seems different, and we've got to make sure that we take away that feeling and focus on our performance like we did at Leicester, because that was about us. It wasn't about Leicester. It was about us taking it on, and that's a thing we've been trying to get the players to really grasp, and to grip hold of games by going about their business in the way we did at Leicester. Not easy when you're playing good sides.
High stakes, lots of pressure. You're still enjoying every minute of being a Premier League manager.
High stakes and lots of pressure. That's it. That's Premier League. That's any management, by the way, not just Premier League. That's any management. But in Premier League, you're under focus all the time. So high pressure and all of that. That's what comes with it. That's part of the job.
Yeah, still loving it here. It's only a few months, but
absolutely, lots to do.
Big Sam's back at Leeds. We talk about can't keep him away from the Premier League. Thoughts on his return?
It's up to them, isn't it? It's not up to me. My business is mine, and that's all I'm focusing on, I can assure you.
But did you expect him back in the game?
Who knows? The game's changed. Who knows what can happen? Who knows what can happen? Like I say, clubs have to make decisions. They've decided on something different.
Yeah, focus on Everton. Thank you.
Afternoon, Sean. You're right. Just harking back to something you talked about there, I mean, the performance against Leicester. Another night, you'd have scored 4 or 5 and won comfortably. But I just wonder what it's done for the squad going into the game at Brighton.
I think it just, it's good to see some of the messages from myself and the coaching staff. When the players deliver that, it reaffirms to them that we are kind of on the right track. I know we're not in the league and the table, but the performances, there's a lot of good in that performance, and it shows a lot of the work they've been putting in. We didn't get the full reward for it, but we get the reward of that feel-good factor from the performance, and rightly so. I thought, it's not easy going on the road. It's not easy Premier League, full stop. But on the roads, definitely not. Statistically, everyone knows it's not, and yet we gave a very, very thorough performance there. The thing is, it's parked very quickly. It doesn't guarantee the next one, good or bad. We've got to make sure that we use it wisely. Don't get me wrong, lock in all the positives, but you've got to go and deliver it again. It can't just be once every few games. It has to be a consistency, and that's what I've been talking about on the training pitch, and I've been talking constantly about it through the media, about our performances, but not just week to week either. It's got to be through the 90-odd minutes, and I thought that was very pleasing at Leicester, apart from maybe a quiet 15-minute second half. It wasn't like they were peppering us or anything. They just got a little bit more of the ball and a little bit more of the feel, but other than that, I thought it was a very, very good performance.
And again, just to elaborate on something else you touched on there, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I mean, he showed some real character, I thought. After a poor miss, he would put his hands up to that. What can he bring you in the next few games in these closing stages, do you think?
Well, he brings his all-round game. He can play physically, he can head the ball very well, as we know, but he's dynamic in his movement, and he's got a real eye for goal. I mean, I thought some of his movement the other night was terrific. And as he gets fitter and sharper, which that's probably the fittest and sharpest I've seen him since he's been back from injury, obviously. And he felt right about it, and that's always a good thing when the players feel right about their performances. So we want him to bring everything he's got, because it's going to be needed. The team need everything that we've got all around.
And you seem to galvanise your supporters, and you're going to need them. You want to take them with you.
I've never questioned them since I've been here. So, if they can play their part, that's fantastic. And I've always said we have to give them something. And I thought at Leicester we certainly did, and they responded to that. But they've certainly got a manager and a staff and a group who are working, that's for sure. Now we've got to find the big moments.
And you did mention Brighton, but what different questions will they ask of you, do you think, to those maybe in the game against Leicester, which had a different context to it, of course?
Yeah, I mean, they're going really well. They had a step off, obviously, a result of Forest, but then they got back on it. They've got some very good players. They've recruited very, very well. They've got a nice dynamic about them, a good shape about them. And they've proved this season they're a very handy Premier League side, quite obviously. But like I say, that's part of the Premier League. We always allow the players to understand the opposition. Of course, we do tactically and all the things that we notice. But at the end of the day, it's clear-mindedness from me, about our players, because when we do that, we can certainly be competing with everyone in the division. And I think we've got to take that mentality into it. It's going to be important over the next 4 games.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Sean, there's been a lot of positivity from the Leicester game in terms of the attacking, like as we've spoken about. Dean Smith described it as a basketball game afterwards. Do you feel like that Everton are playing too openly, sort of certainly going into games against 2 teams at the top end of the table?
Well, the risk and reward, defending correctly, attacking correctly. You have to find the balance somewhere. And some games just pan out like that. At Palace was completely the opposite. It was a very slow game, very methodical game for both teams. Maybe the atmosphere the other night, the intensity, the feel of it was brought on by the fact it was a big game for all concerned. So sometimes that can bring that kind of openness to a game. Other times it can stay really tight. You can't define every game until it actually starts operating, until the whistle blows and you see it in front of your eyes. You want to control your performances, but equally Leicester are trying to win the game, we're trying to win the game, and you have to handle them games, and I thought we did overall, but we didn't get the full 3 points that we're looking for.
Michael Keane's come in for some criticism from some quarters amongst the fan base, with goals going in at the end. Do you obviously still have faith in him? You're still putting him in the side?
I have faith in all the players. We can only pick 11 though. So I have faith in all of them. At the end of the day, ups and downs of a footballer, ups and downs of a team, ups and downs of careers, it all goes into the melting pot. These are things that players have to work through, have to handle, goods, bads and indifference. I mean, a lot of noise grew in the Newcastle game. I thought he was probably our best player until the second goal. So, that's how it can change very quickly. But no, he's a very good player amongst many good players here. sorting the best 11 at any given time, form related, to go out and perform. That's the key to it. That's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, but you got sort of Connor Cody's not played a game since the end of February. What does he need to do to get back into the side?
All the players need to keep doing what they're doing until we pick them. You know, you can only pick 11. And I make that clear to the players. I said, you can question me. I've got, happy to speak to you about it, but you can only pick 11 players. Everyone's got to stay fit, everyone's got to stay sharp, and everyone's got to stay committed to the cause. And that's what we're looking to do for when the team has to change or does change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hiya. How do you keep those players happy that are on the bench? Because I know you've spoken previously that Ellis Sims came and knocked on your door and asked for some advice. Are some of those players doing that?
Yeah, it depends. Some just want to have a chat about where they're at. Some want to have a chat about why they're not playing. Sometimes just want reinforcing what they are doing, and the good job they are doing. So different players come and see you for different reasons, but generally to reinforce their whole group is the squad mentality. It's not one player; it's about everyone, particularly at times like this. Particularly at difficult times, and I think it's a group responsibility. So when the players are out the side, we've said to them, already said to them, if you've got anything to say, we park it very early in the week, because then the rest of the focus is on the next game, or week, or if it's a couple of games a week. The point is it gets parked very quickly, early on, clear-minded, going into the next game. And I think that's really important. I think the players here understand that. That's all we're looking for them to do: stay fit, stay sharp, and make sure they're motivated, because the game can change very quickly. Whether it's injuries, suspensions, lack of form, or whatever. You have to be ready, because when your chance comes, there's no point in questioning it and then not being ready to go and do the job.
Against Leicester, there was only one substitution made, the forced one, because of Seamus's injury. What was the thought behind that? Why didn't anybody else come off the bench in that one? And did you always
the team
have
was
that
operating in the manner that you want it to operate in. I thought, you end up thinking, didn't happen, but I thought there was only one team going to go on and win it on the night. That was my feeling. That was my opinion of it. So the team's operating in the right manner. Sometimes you've got to be careful. Everyone presupposes. The stats on substitutes is not what you think. Stats on changing subs into games is not what you think. I know the stats, so therefore you've got to be careful.
This final run, does it feel any different around Finch Farm, around the training ground, given this is the last push?
No, I think this. The news around here has always been big news. Around Everton since I got here and before I got here. So that hasn't really changed. I think there's a positive mood in the camp. I think Leicester probably revived some of the fans who were maybe wondering and maybe worrying, and that kind of spirit that is shown and the belief in the performance. We can only do what we can do. So when there was a blows, we've got to give everything. And I think that Leicester was a good example. We still didn't get all 3 points, by the way, but the example of a performance was there. We have to go again. Simple as that. We've got 4 more. They're all big games. I think ever since I got here, must win has been every game, I think. So that's the way it is. They're 4 really, really big games, really, really important games.
There was a lot of fuss about Jordan Pickford's water bottle. I don't know if you've seen it, about him having penalty stats on it. How much work goes into that, and are you surprised how much that's been discussed this week?
No, because you've got to fill a lot of space in the media, so something has to fill that space. At the end of the day, most teams, I can assure you, most managers, most teams are doing analytics, they're doing reviews, they're doing stats, they're crunching numbers. Everyone's doing it, and it just gets highlighted sometimes, but everyone's trying to get the inches, everyone's trying to get the next step forward. And we do plenty of that here as a staff, and the support staff, the analytical staff. The players know it, and actually sometimes it's how much you do give them. Because there's a lot, so sometimes it's trimming it down to give them enough so they're informed, and not too much where it just becomes confusing for them. And in that case, it was just a literal thing. You do your stats and facts, you do your homework to increase the chances of success. Jordan used it wisely.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.